to you about continuous delivery with Appveyor and Sitecore. I'm giving a bit more of a business-orientated presentation compared to what I normally do, which means that I've stripped out an awful lot of technical detail, which means that this talk is going to be a little bit more about Sitecore than I was originally intending, and even less about Appveyor. But the continuous delivery part, I think, is going to be, that message is still going to be just as strong, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it now. So first of all, just to make sure we're all on the same page, what is continuous delivery, at least in my eyes? Okay, get to that. First of all, it is the build. So from the technical people in your team, we're going to be working on their implementation and making sure that they've not made any blinding errors, like forgotten to commit certain files, and obvious mistakes like that. Then there's going to be some automated testing. Okay, very critical. I hope you're doing automated testing in your implementations. Coming on to that is something which I really believe in, is reporting. Okay, so the result of everything that you're doing in this build and for your testing should be visible to the stakeholders in the project. Hopefully not just you as the partners, but also the customers. Don't be shy. Gating, I'm not sure of the right technical term for this, but this is pretty much blocking deployments from going ahead unless all of these stages beforehand have passed. So you can't have a build which is actually failing automated tests being allowed to go into production. It just won't even be allowed to get that far. Next on, packaging. In other words, what is the result of this build? Okay, these are the zip files, for example, which you'll then push through to production or whichever environment, which is the deployment. That's the last step. So what is continuous delivery? It's more about the confidence to be able to deliver continuously. In other words, every day, or every hour if you need to. So you could normally pat yourselves on the back if you were doing it every 2 weeks, but maybe get even better than that if you're confident about your delivery process. So the automation side of this is my favorite. Okay, so you're saving an awful lot of time, and by doing things in an automated way, it becomes more reliable. Okay? It's repeatable. It's the same every single time you do it. Okay? There's no room for error, in theory. Visibility, that goes back to the reporting I was talking about before, and then ultimately cost saving. Okay? Which is why, in my eyes, everybody should be doing it. Now, a little bit about me. I don't normally introduce myself, but I will very quickly. It will become clear why in a minute. I am the Sitecore UK MVP coordinator, so the most valuable professionals for both technical, digital, cloud and commerce, which means that people who are contributing to the community into these presentations, blog posts and things like that, or just being strong advocates of Sitecore internally, they get a special recognition from Sitecore, and I help deal with all of those MVPs. And I work for Sitecore. I work in the email and marketing automation team. I've been working there for about 3 years now. Started off as a colleague of Johannes, who's giving the next presentation. But now I'm primarily doing development. I've been a developer professionally for about 20 years. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. But on the other hand, I've worked a lot by myself. All right? I've not really that experienced with working in teams. So a lot of this is extremely interesting to me because it's difficult, and it will get clear as I go along. But I don't speak for Sitecore. My opinions are my own. Okay, so that's not what kind of talk this is about. It's about me telling you about my own experience with continuous delivery and why not use continuous delivery. I could pretty much copy and paste all of Adam's slides into my own presentation, which is about we just don't have the budget for it. And from you as an implementation point of view, okay, absolutely no excuse why that budget should be visible to the customer. Okay, you'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you're not doing continuous delivery out of your own pocket. Okay, for me, it's as dramatic as charging them for the laptops that your developers have to use. Okay, or even more dramatic for the oxygen they have to breathe. You need to be implementing continuous delivery. Okay. So why Appveyor? If you're using this in professional implementations or already, continuous delivery, you might be using something like TeamCity and Octopus Deploy. You do have a lot of options. If they're already working out for you, okay, there's no particular reason that you should use Appveyor, but this content of this talk they'll still be relevant for you because I'll be covering a lot of Sitecore gotchas. In terms of if you are feeling generous and you wanted to work on an open source module and you wanted to publish it in the Sitecore marketplace, Appveyor is a really good choice because it is free for open source modules and it runs in the cloud. So you've got absolutely nothing to set up. You don't have to host any servers and it's completely free. If you are interested, it's $29 a month for one private repository, and it's only $69 a month for unlimited. All right, so unlimited projects is $69 a month. It's a really good deal. So what's different about Appveyor? It runs in the cloud. It's all powered by Azure behind the scenes. So every single time you make a new build, it's going to start up a new VM from scratch in Azure, which is yours to own for 60 minutes. Now you can do whatever you like with it. Install software on it. In this case, of course, Sitecore, any modules, your search provider, and then you'll do the kind of basic stuff that you normally do in continuous integration, so as build and test. And then finally, when you're done and you've packaged up everything that you need to save, it will tear it down, and that's it. And that same process will be repeated every time. For me, it's really good to prove that if it works on Appveyor, you know pretty much it's going to work everywhere. Again, nice and clear. Okay, I actually have open source proof of concept. If you want to share these slides, I will share them with everyone. If you want to share these with your technical team, they're free to check out what I've done, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that now. So what's the gotchas in continuous delivery with Sitecore? So Sitecore is not a free product. So if you want to make an open source module which builds Sitecore, then you're going to struggle a little bit. The first gotcha, the license file. You are absolutely not allowed to check in your own private license file into source control. Okay, so you have to figure out a way that you're going to get that as part of your build. Same goes for sensitive data. You don't want connection strings and login details, team development for Sitecore, credentials, that can't be in your build either. Okay, especially if it's open source. Sitecore installer is a proprietary product. You have to be storing this elsewhere outside of your repository and pull it down as part of your build. Lastly, just a genuine gotcha of Appveyor, because it works on the cloud and runs every single build. If you have a large repository, I've worked on ones with like a gigabyte, then it will spend the first 5 minutes just downloading it. So it just makes the kind of versatility, or I don't know the right word, a little bit less set. So you want to have small repositories if you're using Appveyor. So I did a little test to see if I could find any licensed XML files on GitHub, which must be an open source repository for me to be able to find this. I found 7 files in open source, okay, and Sitecore do this check periodically, and they are not happy if they find this kind of thing. So please don't let it be one of you guys who are hosting the license. Okay? Just, if you get back to your technical teams later on, please ask them to double check that they're not doing anything like that. Skip on this. What's the next step of continuous delivery is the testing. So you can actually log in to my open source project and have a look at my history. Added a license here, or an encrypted one in this case. And it's got a list of all of the tests which are running. So project manager, account manager, customer, anybody can go in and have a look at the state of the build, okay, and whether they think it's healthy or not. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the automated UI testing. It's a bit more of a controversial one. I happen to really believe in it because I find that as well as we try with unit tests, and we can pepper our code with unit tests, they never seem to catch the edge cases. Okay? They never seem to catch everything that we intend them to do. We spent absolutely hours doing it, and you can be sure that when your site comes crashing down, all of your unit tests will be green. Okay? And it's frustrating as hell. The reasons that people tell you not to use it is that if your UI is changing constantly, and you're changing perhaps IDs or CSS classes in your code, your automated tests will be the first ones to break. And that can be frustrating. And what half of the people who do continuous delivery do is just start to ignore them. And that is dangerous. And all I can respond to in that is you just have to be disciplined and keep on making sure that you have 100% coverage. There's no other way around it. Because if you get caught out by something that could be prevented by testing, then yeah, it's all for you. In the open source one, that's powered by Selenium, which is a really great tool which actually opens up a copy of your browsers. You can use the build matrix to open it up in Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever you want, and run the same test where it's actually driving the mouse, clicking around, going through a use journey, doing the most important stories. What Adam was talking about, the most important ones are reporting an incident. Well, I would say the most critical one is commerce related, right? Can they go through and put stuff in their basket? Can they check out? Make sure that you're testing all of that automatically. Then comes the analysis, which I think is a step further than a lot of people do. It's all very well that your tests are passing, but what is the overall code quality like? And what's your test coverage like? So you might have heard people talk about technical debt all the time. And technical debt is one of the things which just gets thought of later, right? Most often the project is all like go, 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 go. It's pretty much the reason that continuous delivery almost always falls out the window. But if you have analysis on every single check-in, that what is the code quality, and it tests you, this is a product called SonarQube, and it gives you a grade from A to F on things like reliability, maintainability, and security. And straight off the bat, you get a nice little dashboard of per line, per method, per class, per application, what kind of grade you have for all of those things. And it's really easy to drill down. What will happen every single time that I check in something to Appveyor, you'll get this report and nice little vanity badges there, which I can put on my homepage to say whether it's a green or red.
Just for a shameless plug as well, you can create your own rules within SonarQube, so based on either StyleCop or FXCop as well. And on the Sitecore marketplace, there's some rules that you could use already. Integrates with this. It has the some of the standard Sitecore kind of best practice type things built in, so that can integrate with this as well.
Good. The next step is kind of leading on from there is peer review. So if you are working together with a bunch of teammates, you want to be reviewing every single thing that they do by hand, manually. Okay, you don't want to just be, a couple of reasons for that. One is obviously quality, and the second is knowledge transfer. Okay, you want to be reviewing absolutely everything which is going on. It's not just for like the lead dev to keep all in check. You should be spreading that around the team. Okay, you want everybody in the team should be able to pick up from any area of the application. That's, again, nice in theory. But what this application does is that it will run SonarQube to check every single commit, and if the quality has gone down, the test quality, the test coverage has gone down, or the technical debt has increased, it won't even allow it to go through. Okay, and it sounds overly strict, but this is what prevents your application from getting out of control. This actually, straight off the bat, is preventing your people having a lazy attitude and say, I'll solve it later.
Steve, it's very important to mention who controls that setting. If developers control, it may basically mean nothing. It will be senseless.
If the developers control it, it might be, what you mean, they might just turn it off temporarily.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no, I do not have an answer for lack of discipline. Okay? The whole point is,
internal, yeah.
the point of installing something like this is to try and improve that discipline. Okay? Or try and guard against it. Okay? I'm well aware of how developers can be. Alright, packaging. There's some Sitecore specific stuff there which I'm not going to go through, but the whole point of the Appveyor process, or any continuous delivery process, is that you want to have a result of this build. And if you've packaged up your application in a deployable format, then you can push that through to your dev environment, and ideally the identical one all the way through QA, acceptance, and production. Okay, that is the mecca of all of this. An example in Appveyor is that you have to define in advance what the different kinds of files are you want to keep. And we come through to the next slide, is where you decide how you want to deploy them. Appveyor comes with an awful lot out of the box. One of them is web deploy, which is relevant to the web world, and also something which compares very closely to Octopus deploy, their tentacles, which is the environment setting over here. Oops. Coming on to post-deployment. Very important that once you've actually made a deployment, kind of clicking on the website once it's already live and realizing there's an error just simply isn't good enough. Okay? Hopefully you've got something a little bit more advanced where you have multiple servers and they're load balanced. You can take them out of the load balancing and happily play around with a server, or as Johannes will talk about, use staging slots in Azure. And then you have all the freedom to do a lot of health checks before you put them live. And you can imagine, I was talking to Nick Hills from EasyJet the other day. He kind of revealed in January that they get 300 new visitors every second. Okay, they do not have the freedom to go down for even 1 single second. Okay, this you're talking about. You don't have budget for this. Okay, they would lose millions every second. EasyJet fill up 2 planes every minute. Okay, so continuous delivery. In other words, having confidence in what you deploy is the most critical thing about this whole aspect of your delivery. So it's really worth having visibility of what your metrics are of your site. So every single server that you have, how quickly are they responding? Are they erroring? And do I feel confident in putting this live? Okay, if all does go wrong, I hope you've made a backup. Okay, that's obviously part of the process, but Sitecore does support rollbacks. Little known fact. Okay, so if you do have a update package which you deploy, Sitecore will automatically generate a rollback package which you can save and you can use to not have to rely on a SQL backup. You can just get it to reverse everything that was just done. Which, seeing as backups can sometimes take several minutes, if not half an hour to restore, this might be a nice lifeline for you. So do give that a read. Lastly, exploit my opportunity to plug SubCon, which is at the end of May in Amsterdam. It is an event run by the community of Netherlands and Denmark, and it has got a lot of sponsorship, a lot of kind of buy-in from Sitecore. The CEO, Michael Seifert, the technical guy, Lars Nielsen, and some other people. They're going to be coming and presenting along with a lot of MVPs. Really great couple of days. For the kind of digital and technical side of things, I would say it is almost just as good, if not better, than Symposium. But you have only a couple of days until the early bird tickets expire, and it'll go up by about 100 quid. So if you are interested, please take action now. And thanks very much for listening.